In every school, there is always a dream girl who attracts everyone and makes everyone crazy. In this movie, Kiki is that dream girl. She has been hailed as the most beautiful girl in her college twice and works as a model for different magazine brands. Several agencies want to sign her up just because of her beauty, and this makes the geeks in her school worship her. However, she doesn't seem to remember any of those geeks, making them frustrated. She is in a relationship with Chang, a tall guy studying medicine, and plays basketball. The geeks, however, keep desperately trying different methods to express their love for her. They buy her food, fight to help her throw away her waste, and serenade her. Kiki has a best friend, Lin, who is also a very pretty girl and is also her roommate. However, after a while in school, Lin falls in love with a geek guy who Kiki rejected before. Kiki feels frustrated at this because she strongly believes that pretty people like her and Lin should never be with geeks, as they live in two separate worlds. However, Lin chooses to continue with her relationship and ends up leaving the room she shares with Kiki so that she can be with her boyfriend. Love makes the most unexpected things happen. This incident makes Kiki very angry. She opens her computer and writes a blog listing reasons why she would never be with a geek. She mentions the following things. Geeks tuck their shirts into their jeans. They never throw out a broken alarm clock or phone, claiming they will fix it. They study the plot of sci-fi movies. They have more virtual money than real money. They come up with the worst presents. They do not mind dirt. They do not understand women. They have dual personalities when they are with their keyboard and when they are not. They cannot read the situation in front of them because they are not sensitive. Lastly, they cannot see how pathetic they are. So much to know for someone who doesn't like geeks. She posts the blog online. The post circulates fast, having been forwarded more than 5,000 times and receiving more than 3,000 comments. People also translate it into 7 different languages. Many readers support her, except for the geeks, of course. Overnight, Kiki becomes the geeks' archenemy. Kiki is at the dormitory, reading a magazine. Suddenly, a cockroach flies out from the magazine, causing her and the people around her to panic. They frantically try to put it down, but they are unable to until a girl named Mei Shui catches it with her bare hand and smashes the poor thing. This comes as a shock to all the ladies because they do not know who she is. She then comes to Kiki and introduces herself as her new roommate, stretching the hand she used in slaying the cockroach, which Kiki does not take out of disgust. Back in the dorm room, Mei Shui opens her bag with so many taekwondo medals. Kiki curiously asks why Mei Shui decided to do taekwondo. Mei Shui explains that she joined because she wanted to please a man on the taekwondo team and make him fall in love with her. However, when she became good, she discovered that the guy she likes prefers people like Kiki and not a sporty woman like her. Kiki then tells her that she will teach her how she can be like her, which excites Mei Shui. In the next scene, Kiki is reading in the library. As soon as she's done, she heads back to her place. It is already nighttime, and she notices that the lake by the road starts drying up all of a sudden. She then moves closer, curious how it happened, but unfortunately, she falls into the mud. Suddenly, another curious guy also comes close to the lake, and he falls into the mud with her. She forces herself to get up and leave the mud, but she leaves behind her bracelet. The guy, however, takes a longer time to get up, and as he is about to leave, a geek sees him and takes a picture of him to post on social media. By the time Kiki gets into her room with the mud, there is already a story online about the legend of Lake Ju. According to the legend, any man and woman who meet up at the lake when it is dry will fall in love and be together. Could this be true, or another geek thing? The next day, almost half of the school gathers near the lake, interested in the legend. Kiki also checks the commotion with Mei Shui, and gets surprised to see that the lake is now filled with water. Now the question on everyone's mind is, who is the lady who fell in the lake? Kiki is getting paranoid, nervous that people will find out it's her. The post online now has more than 8,000 likes and more than 3,000 comments. The fast spread of the legend has now surpassed Chang's campaign post, as he is running for the school election, making him frustrated. Kiki finds Chang, telling him she has something important to say. Just then, she sees the guy who fell into the empty lake with her, standing up after helping Chang fix some computers. Chang introduces the guy to Kiki. It turns out his name is Lucky, majoring in computer science, and he fixes all computers on campus. Seeing him immediately makes Kiki think he is a total geek. She also sees her bracelet with him and gets it before dragging Chang away to tell him she is the one who fell into the lake. She makes him promise not to tell a soul before telling him, and this makes Chang laugh, as if he is mocking her. Kiki leaves him and rushes to meet Mei Shui, who is beating guys in her taekwondo class. She now knows the name of the guy who was in the muddy lake with her. She explains that the guy is everything she detests and has all the characteristics of a geek, which irritates her. She hands over her bracelet to Mei Shui because she doesn't want it anymore. She doesn't want anything that has to do with Lucky. She then asks about the details of the legend. Mei Shui tells her about the history of the legend. She takes her to the library and starts showing different things to support that the legend is true. While researching the legend, Kiki keeps having encounters with Lucky on campus, but she always avoids him. She discovers that 3 couples who have been victims of the legend in the past are now married. This starts getting to Kiki, and she starts dreaming that Lucky sees her trying to avoid the legend and tries to kiss her. She wakes up from the dream and sees Mei Shui by her side. She tells her that the legend will not work for her as long as people do not know she is the one by Lake Ju. Unfortunately, Mei Shui reveals that the whole school already knows she is the one. Kiki rushes to meet Chang in the dining hall and asks why he told people her secret. He brushes it off casually, saying that he only told his friends and did not know they would post it online. Lucky walks into the room too. Chang calls him in front of everyone and teases him that he will be fair with him in competing over winning Kiki's heart. The people around them cheer on this. Seeing how bad the scene is, Kiki rushes away from the room. Kiki then goes to meet one of the victims of the legend. She goes to his office to hear his side of the story. He then explains to her how he met his wife at Lake Ju. He has never been attracted to plus-sized ladies, but the lady he met at Lake Ju was just that size, and they got married immediately after they graduated. Kiki wonders why Lake Ju gets dry all of a sudden, and he explains that he heard that it is related to a marriage constellation in the sky. The drying process is claimed to be what births love. Kiki also wonders how he loves someone he hated before, and he explains that Lake Ju always gives them a chance to understand people. He concludes that the students he heard it happen to are blessed because that is true love. Just then, his wife comes to drop off his lunch, and Kiki sees how much they love one another. Is this real or simply a coincidence? While Kiki is on her way back to school, she sees Lucky playing and walks past him without saying hello. She then goes to the gym to see Chang and asks him what kind of person Lucky is. Is she getting interested in a geek after all? He then explains that he hears he is a genius. His friend further explains how brilliant Lucky is and how important he is for the school as so many things depend on him to function properly. Just then, Mei Shui comes to the gym, and Kiki introduces her to Chang. This excites Mei Shui, and she tries to impress him by showing her taekwondo skills. After they are gone, Mei Shui shows Kiki that she has seen the second couple. Kiki goes outside to take her bike but cannot find it. Mei Shui finds her bike lock cut off. It turns out that Kiki did not pay the parking fee this semester, that's why her bike got taken away. Kiki goes to the parking administrator, which is coincidentally being manned by Lucky. They are beginning to run into each other more. She goes ahead to ask him about the bike. Despite being reluctant to approach him, Lucky points to where the bike is and offers to help, but she refuses. When she begins to struggle with getting the bike, she finally accepts his help. While fixing the bikes, Kiki keeps glancing at Lucky, which he notices. He thinks that she is looking at the badges pinned on his shirt. He then explains each of the badges, along with his favorite little turtle tag. Suddenly, his watch's alarm rings, and he starts reacting erratically, looking for his bag. This scares Kiki, and she rushes to bring his bag thinking he has medicine there, only to realize all he needs is an orange juice. Who could have imagined? He needs to drink juice at exactly 1 p.m. daily because of his anxiety. Lucky explains to Kiki how important it is for him as he gets anxious over many things. Once they are done arranging the bike, Lucky apologizes for the trouble caused by the Lake Ju saga, but she claims she is going to deal with the problem. Kiki then goes to meet the second victim of the legend to ask them how it happened. She initially meets the husband, who works at a fish market, but he is busy and cannot talk. Just then, the beautiful wife arrives, taking over her husband's work, and she explains how the event happened. She even found out how to break the spell, but she wasn't superstitious enough to try breaking it. Later on, she changed her mind about him after seeing him every day, and married him after eventually falling in love with him. Well, Kiki has been having lots of encounters with Lucky lately. Kiki goes back to the room with her friend and concludes that she will not be leaving the building the next day, attempting to break the cycle of seeing Lucky every day. The next day she continues as planned. She stays in the room, but while making something, a fire starts in her room. She tries to stop it, but it worsens. She ends up stepping out to get the fire extinguisher. While trying to get it, she collides with fellow students carrying their school project and ends up destroying it. After putting out the fire, she goes to help the people who she bumped into earlier to fix their ruined project. While fixing it, a bird flies into the room and distorts the situation. Out of fright, Kiki starts frantically moving around to get the bird off her head. In the process, an instant glue accidentally squirts onto her cheek, and then she falls outside the window. Luckily, she falls onto someone who is passing by, so she does not get injured, and that someone happens to be Lucky. Is this the legend at work? Her face is now glued to Lucky's face thanks to the instant glue earlier. The students around see them and quickly assume that the legend is finally coming true while taking pictures of their ridiculous position. In the hospital, their faces finally get separated and Kiki moves away quickly. Not long after, the doctor tells Lucky to take off his pants to dress the wound from Lake Jew. Just as the doctors step out, Kiki goes to warn Lucky. She tells him she will never fall in love with him, and she hates everything that has to do with him. Unfortunately, just as she is done, someone opens the door, and this makes her fall into Lucky's thighs, making her face stick to Lucky again, this time in an even more ridiculous position. Seems the force of attraction is getting stronger and stronger. His thigh and her cheek gums are together this time, and Lucky starts having a boner from the situation. So awkward. Then, they are taken to another hospital, but the students are all outside to film and snap the situation. Getting back from the hospital, Kiki starts crying in her room due to the embarrassment. Poor girl. She then calls Lucky to meet her at Lake Jew and makes him promise not to come within a radius of 10 meters from her because he is making her life miserable. Enraged, she starts lashing out at him, gets his bag, throws his things into the lake, and even removes some of the tags on his clothes. In the next scene, Kiki is coming out of the building when she hears a noise outside. A geek asks her what she did to Lucky because he has applied for leave, and so many things are not going to function properly because he is absent. They then ask her to apologize to him. Just as she says she will not apologize, the director of the school comes up and asks her to help call Lucky to help him out with his emails that have issues. Who could have thought Lucky was indeed the backbone of the school? This makes Kiki go on a hunt to reach out to Lucky, who is now avoiding her. She sees him and starts chasing after him until she catches him around a building. This is where she realizes that the badge she threw into Lake Jew was given to him by his mother and is precious to him. She then apologizes genuinely to him and offers to be his friend, as well as buy him a drink as an apology. Everyone moves on with their lives normally like the legend of Lake Jew never happened, until Kiki started seeing Lucky in a new light, as a handsome guy. To be sure of her feelings, she asks Chang to kiss her, but right after the kiss, she realizes she doesn't feel anything from her boyfriend anymore, which makes her burst into tears. In response to this, Chang confronts Lucky, telling him not to go near Kiki, and tells him to do something about the situation, because he believes he is smart. Kiki, on the other hand, rushes back to the woman who tried to break the spell. She asks her what she needs to do. The woman explains that she needs to strike a bell with a hammer 10 times. Upon her research in the library, she realizes that she will need the original bell which is in the university, and the original hammer to strike it. Her research leads her to the first person that legend brought together, who stays in Wuhan. Kiki travels to Wuhan to find the original hammer. She meets with someone who tells her the couple she is looking for is her grandparents, and tells her their story. She also reveals that her grandmother hid the hammer in a grassland because her grandfather wanted to break the spell due to financial problems. But she did not want him to break the spell, so she describes where she hid the hammer. Kiki gets to the grassland and does not know where to start searching for the hammer. Just then she sees Lucky, who surprisingly is also there to find the hammer that will break the curse. He, however, is prepared, as he brings along an iron detector for the search. Lucky confesses that he likes her, but he is doing this because he wants her to be happy. They both then continue to search for the hammer till evening. Then they rest in the tent prepared by Lucky. While having their dinner, they start talking, and Kiki recalls her first love, telling Lucky that it did not go well as her father opposed her having a boyfriend. Then she tried to build confidence in meeting guys but felt that her weight made her unattractive, which is when she became determined to be the prettiest girl in her school. Lucky, on the other hand, wished she still had that weight so that he could have a chance with her. Life is not fair after all. The next morning, as Kiki is still sleeping, Lucky starts looking for the hammer. Just as he finally finds it, he contemplates about hiding it again, but ends up telling Kiki anyway. She excitedly hugs Lucky, overjoyed for finding the hammer. Just then, she receives a call from Chang and tells him she has found the hammer. Then the next scene shows Chang, Lucky, and Kiki working together at night to climb the bell so that Kiki can ring it 10 times. The location of the bell is higher than the ladder, and this forces them to raise the ladder while she beats it. She beats it 3 times, but the bell falls. This calls the attention of the security, and Chang runs off, afraid of getting kicked out of the coming election if he gets caught. On the other hand, Lucky waits for Kiki, telling her to jump. She falls while jumping, but they are still able to escape the security. The next day, they see that the bell is now heavily guarded, and they cannot get close. Kiki remembers that whoever becomes the president of the student union can ring the bell in the upcoming anniversary ceremony. She asks to ring the bell instead of Chang, but Chang refuses because he wants to be the one to ring it by himself. This results in an argument between the two of them and eventually ends up in a breakup. Kiki vows to compete in the presidential election, just because she wants to strike the bell. However, Chang mocks her because he feels she cannot win. After all, she is a geek arch-enemy, so who would vote for her? Lucky tries to support her, but Chang tells him to shut up. This pushes Lucky on the edge and also announces he is going as a candidate for the presidential election in anger. Who could have thought? This causes chaos in the school, as the three of them are running for office. Lucky finds a way to help convince the geeks to support Kiki, and they start working to ensure either of them wins the election. They campaign for both Lucky and Kiki together. One thing worthy of note is that this process starts bringing Kiki and Lucky closer. One day, a lady comes up to Kiki asking her to go on a double date, expressing her interest in dating Lucky. This sounds strange to Kiki, but she agrees to the request. She goes on the date, but she keeps staring at Lucky the whole time, as the guy with her does not impress her in any way. Could she be falling for a geek after all? Going back to her room, she keeps trying to convince herself that she will not fall for a geek. But clearly, she has fallen already. She turns on her computer and checks Lucky's photos. She starts zooming in on Lucky to see him better, and she seemingly starts adoring him. She closes the system immediately when Meishu enters the room to cover up what she is doing. Meishui asks what is going on between the two of them, but she denies that there is anything happening between them. The campaign continues, and Lucky continues to win the hearts of people with all the things he promises to give them. Before long, all those supporting Chang are already on the Lucky side. A twist of fate. Later, Lucky overhears Kiki and Meishu talking. Meishui asks Kiki why she is not dating Lucky, despite knowing he likes her. She then explains that she does not know, aside from the fact that she couldn't imagine them being seen together by other people. Finally, it's election day, and all the students are starting to vote. At the end of the vote, Lucky wins the election. He is indeed lucky. This excites all the geeks, Lucky and Kiki included. She finally has a chance to strike the bell, because Lucky promised to allow her to strike it instead of him doing the honors. Even geeks can be perfect gentlemen. He hands over the tag of the president to her so that she will be the one to strike the bell. While Kiki moves to the bell to start striking it, Lucky starts walking away with his heart broken. However, just as she is striking the bell, all the memories she shared with Lucky start flooding her head. Lucky does not seem to be feeling well while walking away and falls. In an unexpected turn of events, Kiki strikes the bell 12 times instead of 10. She comes down to confess that she has always fallen in love with the wrong people before, but this time around, she is in love with someone who is not her first choice. She apologizes for her post online on Geek and confesses that she now likes geeks. She goes to where Lucky is and confesses to him, telling him she loves him. This news excites everyone because eventually, the legend of Lake Lu will finally come true. Their love life then begins as she starts helping him to dress smartly, and they finally become a couple. Just as Kiki thinks everything is going well, she hears a knock on her door. Someone has come asking for Meishu. The person returns the cutter she got from Meishu, saying it can only cut bike locks. Kiki collects it and enters the room. Suddenly, she starts recollecting some of the incidents in the past, which makes it seem as if Meishu is the one behind the legend of Lake Ju. She rushes to the library and discovers that the book there has been tampered with. She goes to the lake and notices the smell of chlorine, which means it is connected somewhere. She goes to the school pool and discovers that the pipe has been redirected somewhere, which makes her suspect someone is behind the lake drying up. Kiki goes to the office where she met the first victim of the Lake Ju legend and sees that the setup there is different. She also sees all the other victims there, and other people who she encountered while trying to research the legend. This confirms to her that the whole legend of Lake Ju is fabricated. She runs back to her room and guess what she sees? Meishu dresses like her because she wants to win Chang over as her boyfriend. She believes she can replace Kiki. Meishu goes to Chang, but he only gets weirded out and rejects her instantly. Kiki, on the other hand, rushes to Lucky's room to confirm the situation and discovers that he planned the whole legend of Lake Ju. Lucky then speaks from behind, saying that the legend is a science project of love, and he explains how he set up everything. He confesses that he fell in love with her at first glance, and he created the situation so that he could get to know her. His project succeeds, and she kisses him on the lips. He feels this is the happiest moment of his life, but she tells him to remember those 10 seconds because he will never have the chance again. She then leaves him with tears on their faces. Seems they won't be having a happy ending after all. Lucky goes to her room later and stands by the door. He expresses his regret. He explains that all he wanted was a chance for her to know the real him. Kiki listens to all he says and is moved with tears, but she does not open the door to him. 2 weeks later, Lucky is taken to the hospital because he has not been outside of his room for 2 weeks. Being heartbroken can make one terribly sick. While passing by, Kiki sees that people are cleaning up Lake Jew. Kiki sees Lucky's special turtle badge, and she picks it up. She takes it to his bedside while he is still unconscious. He sees it when he is awake, and he is happy to have it back. Fast forward to 7 years later, all the geeks are now successful in their own ways. Surprisingly, Kiki and Lucky end up getting married, proving that although he fabricated the whole legend of Lake Jew, he has truly captured Kiki's heart. In the final scene, a flashback is shown when Kiki was still a child, talking to her first love. It is then revealed that the kid she was talking to is actually Lucky. He is the same boy she fell in love with as a child. The universe indeed wants them together after all.